Join me on today's episode where we're going to be grilling up baidakya, or more commonly known as grilled lamb chops. To get started on our lamb chops, I have here 8 lamb chops that I bought at my local butcher, cleaned, trimmed, and all ready to go. So we're gonna take these, we're gonna lightly tenderize these. You don't wanna pound them out too much because you don't want the meat to fall off of the bone. So we're just gonna lightly do both sides. And when you're doing lamb chops for friends or your family, and you're only doing one protein, just lamb chops and then some side dishes, a good way of thinking about how many to make is an average person would eat about 4 of these lamb chops per person. So that's how you can kind of figure out on how many you should buy for hosting a party or even just having dinner. Tonight, Nicholas and I are the only ones that are gonna eat these, so I'm just making 8. So we'll tenderize this, and then we're gonna make our delicious marinade. So lamb chops are all tenderized, ready to go. Put this on the side. And our marinade, I know you're gonna be so shocked, the ingredients, but we're gonna use extra virgin olive oil, Greek olive oil. I'll put the quantities online for you guys, so I'm just kind of eyeballing this. And for this one, for the marinade, we're gonna use a dry white wine. You can use Pinot Grigio, a Sauvignon Blanc, anything that you really have on hand. I'm actually using a Greek wine, which is a Moscotero, which is a very similar to a Sauvignon Blanc. A little bit of wine. We're gonna use some salt and pepper. I'm actually gonna put on the lamb chops. So I'm gonna use dried oregano. And then we're gonna use fresh thyme and fresh rosemary. So I'm gonna chop these up. I'm just gonna flip my cutting board, so we don't wanna chop it right on our lamb. So I'm gonna use some rosemary, and we're gonna finely chop this. And this will give a really great flavor to the lamb when you're cooking them. This is so easy. This is such a great dish to make for friends when they're coming over. Sometimes people are intimidated by lamb, and it's actually the most popular meat in Greece. Lamb and pork, everybody eats it. But sometimes here, I think when I make it for friends, I think they're a little bit wowed, like, wow, you made lamb. But it's really so easy. You can marinate this, put it in the fridge overnight, and then once your friends come over, you just put it on the charcoal, so it's so easy. I can't wait to have like a little herb garden this summer. I'm gonna grow some fresh rosemary, thyme. I think I'm even gonna do a little oregano, because all of these herbs I use literally every single day. So it would be great if I just had them growing in my yard. So I'm gonna chop this. Put that into our marinade and our thyme. It's so funny, when we used to serve lamb at EOS, everybody loved it. They loved the flavor of it and the distinct flavor of the lemon that we're gonna put on after we cook them. But a lot of people would ask, why don't Greeks serve it with mint jelly? That's just not something that we do. So we actually just serve this with, you're gonna guess, lemon and olive oil after we grill them. So I'm chopping up the thyme. Put that into our marinade. You can already smell the distinct flavors. Whisk that together. And to marinate this, you would put this onto the lamb and refrigerate for at least 3 hours, or like I said, you could do it overnight. So for the marinade to really get into the lamb, you can stick them into a Ziploc bag, kind of mush it around, and stick it in the fridge for 3 hours. I'm gonna pour some on top, but then I'm gonna really kind of rub it into the lamb. I'm one of those cooks, not afraid to get my hands dirty, but I'm totally understanding that sometimes people don't wanna do that. So I'm just gonna rub it in on both sides, really get that in, especially now that you tenderized it, it's really gonna get into the lamb. So I'm kind of just rubbing them in and let them sit in the fridge, and then we'll be ready to grill them. Just sprinkle both sides of the lamb with some salt and pepper. Our marinade is all over our lamb chops. I'm ready to cover these and stick them in the fridge. We're gonna place our lamb chops right on our hot grill. I like these lamb chops medium rare, so I just cook them for 3 to 5 minutes on either side. These look great, ready to go plate. So we've grilled our lamb chops and now we're ready to plate them. So I'm gonna put them right on the platter to serve this for my family. And our last step is to make our delicious olive oil and lemon sauce. Put these here. So in my house, when I met my husband, he told me he didn't eat lamb. I was like, oh my God, a Greek man that doesn't eat lamb. But my son loves it, so I'm really excited that I get to make these for him because it's one of my favorites. So we have our lamb chops. And now we're gonna make our sauce, which is our lemon olive oil. I know you guys have seen this before and you can visit right here for the recipe, but for today, I'm gonna make it's olive oil, fresh lemon. I know you guys are gonna be shocked. Salt, pepper, oregano. Every single one of our recipes. And this is so good. The lemon with the lamb is delicious. So we'll whisk this together. And right before I serve this is when I'll pour this right on top, and this will just give it an extra lemony flavor. So I'm gonna pour this right on top. Oh, look at that. Juicy and delicious. And now let's get to garnishing. So we're gonna garnish with some lemon on either side of my platter and some rosemary. I always use the garnish from whatever I used in my dish. I like to use the same herbs or whatever if we're using thyme or parsley, I'll use those to garnish as well. So put that on our platter and it's ready to serve. Our lamb chops are all ready to be served. Since I have wine open from earlier, I'm gonna pour myself a glass. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. For the full recipe, visit nikkiglekis.com and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Make lamb sliders. To get started on making our lamb burgers, we have to first start with our patties. So we have 1 pound of ground lamb here, and we're gonna season it with a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper, a teaspoon of garlic powder, teaspoon of oregano, and a tablespoon of olive oil. Now, take off my rings because I'm gonna use my hands for this. So we're gonna mix this together. And now we're gonna make them into patties. So I'm making about 4 of these. So first I'm gonna even the meat. Make this into 4 patties even. That looks about right there. So now we can form them. This would be perfect to grill on your barbecue outside. But today, when I'm making these, it's cold. So I'm gonna cook them inside on a flat top. There we go, our patties are formed and that top is nice. Oh, sorry. So we got our flat top nice and hot, and I'm not adding any olive oil to this because we have olive oil in our patties. these lamb sliders. They're all grilled and ready for us to assemble. So I have these potato roll sliders. If you use a different roll like a brioche or something, you probably might want to grill it a little, but these are really soft, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to open these up. Here are the tops, here are our bottoms. And I'm going to use tzatziki, our homemade tzatziki sauce. You're going to click this link so you can see how you can make that recipe. So I have here tzatziki I'm going to put on the bottom. Now I'm going to put burger and the tzatziki. Top that with some feta. Oh my goodness. Can't wait to dig into these. Cover these like that. These look awesome. For the full recipe, visit nikkigleckis.com. And don't forget, like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and check out my Amazon store for some of my favorite products. Today we're going to make this beautiful dish, pistachio crusted lamb chops with a pomegranate glaze. To get started on making our pistachio crusted lamb chops with a pomegranate glaze, we're going to start on the stove so we can get our glaze started cooking. So in our saucepan, we're going to turn to medium heat, and we are going to use 1 cup of pomegranate juice, 2 tablespoons of honey, and 1 tablespoon of balsamic vinegar. So we have this on medium heat. We're going to stir this just so that I can get the honey to dissolve. And we need to reduce this by half to make it into a glaze. So this will take probably about 10 minutes. I'm gonna lower this heat, and we're gonna get started on our pistachio. So we have about 8 lamb chops for this, 1 rack, and we've cleaned them so they're all ready to go. And now we're gonna get started on our pistachio crust that we're gonna put onto our lamb chops. So we have pistachios. I'm gonna use this food processor, put them right in here so we can finely chop them. And then we'll take the pistachio and we're going to transfer it to this bowl so that we can mix all the other ingredients together. So we have our pistachios there. Next, we're going to put in 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs. We have garlic, minced garlic, about 2 cloves. Chop that up. And then we have rosemary. So we're going to finely chop about 1 tablespoon of rosemary. The smell of rosemary always reminds me of the holidays, and this dish is perfect for the holidays. And when I say holidays, the whole season, October, November, December, that whole season of the holidays, you can make this dish, and it's gonna be so beautiful on your table. So we'll take our rosemary, it's about 1 tablespoon of that, add that to the mixture. And now we're gonna get our lamb chops ready to cook. So I'm gonna take this mixture, mix this together. Perfect. And now we have our lamb chops. We're gonna do some salt and pepper. So we'll salt and pepper either side of the lamb chops. Some salt. And then we're gonna take some olive oil right here in this bowl, and we're gonna brush the olive oil onto the lamb chops. So this is important because we're gonna encrust this whole mixture onto there. So we need the olive oil so it's gonna help keep all of the mixture onto it. So we're gonna brush that on both sides. And this one is so easy. It's gonna look like it was more labor intensive than it actually is. So now we're gonna take our mixture and we're gonna coat the lamb chops, press it down firmly all over, because you wanna get them, cover the entire lamb chop here. Look at that, beautiful. Flip it again, just wanna make sure that they're all on there. And now we're gonna go to the stove and sear them in an oven-safe skillet because we're gonna put them in the oven after. We're gonna sear them, and I've preheated the oven at 400 degrees, so it's ready for us to add it right to the oven. So we're gonna go take this whole thing right over to the stove. So we have our skillet nice and hot. You want it nice and hot so we could sear these lamb chops. I'm gonna put them down, and you can hear it sizzle. So we're gonna sear them just a couple minutes on either side, and then we'll transfer it to the oven. So I'm taking our lamb out of the oven. Look at that, looks beautiful. So now I'm gonna plate this. I have a nice black plate here. I'm gonna take our lamb chops, put this right here. Before I cut them, and some more of the pistachio, put it right down. Around our plate for plating purposes. So now I'm gonna grab our pomegranate glaze. I'm gonna drizzle this right on top of the lamb. Smells amazing. So we have that, and a little rosemary on the sides. And this dish is ready. Look at that. For the full recipe, visit nikkigleckis.com. And don't forget, like, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram for more entertaining tips. Today we're gonna make adni uvetsi, also known as lamb and orzo. To get started on making our lamb and orzo dish, we're gonna start with our 6 beautiful lamb shanks right here. I have carrots, celery, and our onions, and a cheesecloth to make our herb bouquet. So with our herb bouquet, what we're gonna do is 1 cinnamon stick. We're gonna put all of this right into a cheesecloth. 4 whole garlic cloves, peeled, cleaned. 1 teaspoon of peppercorns. I'm gonna put that right in the middle. Put those there. We need all our fresh herbs. We have 4 small bay leaves, or if you have bigger ones, you could do 2. I have 10 sprigs of fresh thyme and 4 sprigs of rosemary. All of that, look at that. All of our herbs, I'm gonna fold this over like that, and I'm just gonna roll this to make our little pouch here of our herbs. And this is gonna go into our braised lamb mixture when we cook this. So I have just a kitchen string here, and I'm gonna tie this to make our little pouch. There we go. And I like to make this dish for, you know, the holidays when I have a big, large gathering. So I'll make this in the morning because it takes a while for the lamb to braise on the stove before we bake it in the oven. So I have our little pouch here. Next, our vegetables. So I have 2 onions peeled. Now, it doesn't matter how you cut these vegetables because we're gonna put these veggies in to braise our lamb, but then we are gonna blend the entire mixture after. So I'm just gonna cut them just in nice big chunks here. And you know, this dish is a hard sell in my house. We are big divide, even though we're all Greek, there's a big divide on who eats lamb and who doesn't. So I'll usually make this when I have a lot of company coming over because not everybody in my family will eat this, but all of my guests always love it. And I'll make this with, you know, another protein as well on a nice big buffet. So then we have carrots. These are some big carrots. I'm just gonna cut them. Nice big chunks here. Next, our celery. And all of these veggies, braising our lamb, is gonna give it some great flavor. And also when we blend this mixture afterwards. So now we have our veggies ready, we have our pouch ready, and now we have to get our lamb ready. So for our lamb, we have our lamb shanks here. You can go to your local grocery store or butcher, ask them to clean your lamb shanks for you. And so they're ready to go, and we're gonna salt and pepper both sides of our lamb and get them ready. So now that we've salt and peppered our lamb, we're gonna flour it. So we're just taking 1 cup of flour, and I'm just gonna flour both sides of this lamb, because when we put this in our pot and brown them, this will help brown them with the olive oil. So we're gonna cover them in flour. Perfect. We have floured our lamb, and now we're gonna go to the stove to brown them. To get started on braising our lamb, we're gonna put a nice big pot on high heat with a cup of olive oil. We'll heat that up. So we're gonna take our lamb and drop them in so we can brown either side of the lamb. So I'm flipping the lamb to sear both sides, but I'm also going to turn them so that I can kind of sear the sides of them as well. Just a couple minutes, they're a little brown. Now that we've taken our lamb out of the pot, we're gonna leave it there. We're gonna cook our vegetables. And our herb bouquet. Toss that. We're gonna cook those. While you're sauteing your vegetables, you'll start smelling the aroma of these delicious herbs here. And that's when you know it's time. We're gonna give it a little salt and pepper. We're gonna add 2 teaspoons of salt and a half a teaspoon of black pepper. After we've sauteed our vegetables, next step is we're gonna add 2 6-ounce cans, or 12 ounces, of tomato paste. I'm adding 5 cups of water to this. Stir this so we can dilute our tomato paste. Now our sauce is ready. It's come to a very light boil, and we're gonna add our lamb shanks back to this mixture here. Get them all in there. So now that I've gotten all my lamb shanks in there, kind of strategically place them all into the mixture, I'm gonna add a little bit more water to cover the tops of those. You want enough water so that you're covering your lamb. So we've covered our lamb. We're gonna let this come back to a boil for about 5 minutes and then cover it and let it simmer. It's been about 1 hour and 45 minutes, and our lamb is nice and braised. And you could see when it's ready by checking the lamb, you're gonna see the meat is falling right off the bone, which looks amazing. You see that? Perfect. So our next step is we're gonna take a serving spoon, and I'm just gonna take the fat just by lowering my spoon, just gently pressing it down, and you'll see the fat is gonna come right to the top of the spoon, and I'm just gonna discard that. So we just wanna skim as much fat as we can from the sauce before we do our next step. Next, we're gonna take out our lamb shanks from here. We're gonna put them right in this big baking dish. This is what we're gonna put the lamb and the orzo into the oven in. So I'm gonna take those out and just place them nicely in our baking dish. Look at that, the meat is falling right off the bone. Looks amazing. For my lamb lovers out there, this dish is a must try. So I'm gonna put that here. So we have our lamb nicely in our baking dish. Next, I'm gonna look for our cheesecloth in here, and I'm gonna discard that, which is right here. Fish that out, but I don't want the vegetables. There we go. Take the cheesecloth. We're just gonna discard that out of here. Perfect. So now we're left with our vegetables and our sauce here. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take a hand mixer. Again, there's no heat on this. I'm gonna take a hand mixer and I'm just gonna blend this entire mixture, all the vegetables, blend this all together. Look at that beautiful orange sauce with our carrots, celery, and our onions. Blended that all together. And our next step is to cook our orzo. So I brought our sauce back to high heat and I'm gonna mix in 1 bag of orzo or 1 box of orzo. Bring that in there. We're gonna mix our orzo in to our sauce and we're gonna bring this back to a boil and let it boil for about 5 minutes before we add this to our lamb. So our orzo and our sauce have boiled. We cooked it for about 5 minutes. And now I'm gonna transfer it into our baking sheet around our lamb shanks and we're gonna cook this in the oven. Now the word uvetzi means to be baked with pasta. So that's why this is our lamb uvetzi, which is our lamb baked with orzo. So we're gonna take this and you're gonna see the sauce with the orzo and I'm gonna put that kind of all the way around the pieces of lamb. I don't wanna pour it right on top. I wanna bake them together. So I'm gonna put the sauce and the orzo all around. Our lamb and orzo is ready to go in the oven and we're gonna bake this at 350 for about 30 minutes. I've taken the uvetzi out of the oven and plated it with orzo and a lamb shank on top. I'm gonna sprinkle some just grated cheese on top of this. You could also use feta or mizitra cheese as well. And this recipe is online at nikkiglekis.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Today we're gonna make crusted lamb chops with a green tahini sauce. Look at these. To get started on making our lamb chops, we have first a rack of lamb. We've cut them individual, so I have 8 lamb chops here. So we're gonna make our rub. We have 1 teaspoon of paprika, 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of coriander, 1 teaspoon of dried oregano, a teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of black pepper, and a half a teaspoon of turmeric. We're gonna take this, rub, look at that, mix it together. And then we're gonna take our lamb chops. I'm gonna lay them down here. We're gonna put the rub on both sides of the lamb chops before we sear them. Flip them to the other side. And this rub is gonna give it a nice crust when we sear them. Perfect. Now we're gonna take these to the stove and sear them. I have high heat. I'm gonna put some olive oil. Let this get nice and hot. We're gonna sear the lamb chops. So we've done a couple minutes. Look at this nice char. That's exactly what you're looking for. So once you have that, you're gonna flip them. We're gonna char the other side. You want that nice, beautiful crust. Look at that, a couple minutes, and look at that beautiful, nice crust. So we'll take them off. So So now that our lamb chops are ready, we're gonna make our green tahini sauce. So we're gonna do 2 cloves of garlic. I'm just gonna cut these. We're gonna add this right here because we're gonna blend it all together. We're gonna do tahini. So make sure that you mix your tahini well so it's not like very cementy at the bottom. You gotta mix it first. So we're gonna do 3 tablespoons. All of that off. Okay, perfect. Now we need lemon juice. So you need about 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. Whole lemon works as well. Squeeze that in there. We need salt and pepper, about a quarter teaspoon of salt and pepper. And parsley. So we're gonna need about a 1/4 cup of parsley. Just gonna cut this, eyeball it here. We're gonna use a hand blender to mix this. Now, to mix this, you need to add water. So you're gonna add a little bit of water first, and then we'll just add more as we go to see how much we need. A little bit more water. Look at this green sauce, beautiful. Now we're gonna plate it. Take our green sauce, drop our lamb chops. Take some more sauce, drizzle it right on top. This looks delicious. For the full recipe, visit nikkigleckis.com, and don't forget, like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and check out my Amazon store for some of my favorite products.